in 2006, let's fix that in 2012, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I keep saying that, but I want to put the politics last. But make no mistake, in 2012, while it's important to remove our current president, it's equally as important to remove that United States Senator. So Rob Portman can be the senior senator from Ohio, because in the United States Senate, everything's based on seniority, everything. So, you know, the more we can move Rob up the food chain, the more important decision-making opportunities he's going to have. So, you know, Sherrod Brown's wife, Connie Schultz, at the Plain Deal, this isn't don't get me started. I'm not here to talk about Connie Schultz, but it's bad. It's bad. But we have a chance. You know, you guys did it in 2010 to help Frank. We're going to do it to help Larry, because he's going to have to run soon. Larry, when do you have to run?
2012.
2012. So when Obama's spending $1 billion across the country, if not more, most of it in Ohio, Wall Street Journal reported recently that he's given up on Florida. He knows he can't win, and their internal strategy is Ohio. And we always say it's Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. It's really Ohio in 2012, because Obama knows he lost North Carolina, he can't get Florida, so he's losing these states, and it's going to come down to us in Ohio. So to make sure that we return Larry, who's doing, I mean, the guy's brilliant. You really, I've heard him talk on the Ohio channel, and I've seen some of the work he's done. I haven't met him yet personally in his chambers, but in his Senate office. But man, we're blessed to have him, and we've got to keep him, okay? And we're going to be putting the resources into his. Okay, let's talk a little bit more. And if I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down. If I'm not loud enough, I'll speak up. Or if you want me to stop, tell me to leave. I can do that. Because I know it's a Saturday morning. I'm blessed to be here. Back to the historic moment in Ohio. We have 3 pieces of legislation, ladies and gentlemen, that are moving through the General Assembly at lightning pace. And you know, legislation's like sausage. You don't want to see how it's made. You just want to get it done. But in the Ohio House, we have passed. In the past, it's been 7 weeks now, 7-8 weeks, we've passed a bill out of committee, which is going to be voted out of the House and sent to Larry and Frank next week, a bill that is going to protect parents' rights. We have a law in Ohio that's called parental consent. A young woman under the age of consent cannot have an abortion without the parents' signature, because we want to keep the family unit together. That's the basic concept of having a parental consent law. But there's a loophole. It allows for a judge to take the place of mom and dad for a minor, whether with a lawyer or without a lawyer, to have a judge petition them and say, you know, this girl doesn't want to tell her parent, whatever the excuse is, judge, will you grant this order, sign this document so we can go to Planned Parenthood and she can have an abortion. Tragically, the Columbus Dispatch and the Akron Beacon Journal did a study over the past 2 years. 90 to 95% of all petitions in front of judges, they're just rubber stamping them. Sure. Yeah, okay. They want it off their docket. They're saying they're stressed. They got all these cases, and they see a paperwork here. Okay, abortion go. Not talking to the young woman. In some cases, never even seeing the young woman. That's wrong. Okay. We do not want to strip the family unit apart any more than it already is. We need mom and dad, or if they're single parents, mom or dad, you know, preferably have a family, to be with their daughter, to tell her it's okay. And you can have your child. You can place your child for adoption. My wife and I adopted our daughter, Olivia. We're in the process of adopting our second child. Adoption is a beautiful thing. It truly is. It's a blessing from God. And to put, you know, we all like to think we have the greatest judges in the world in Ohio. Some of them are, but guess what? Some of them aren't. You know, they're elected. They're not appointed. We can remove them, but you know, there's a lot of liberal judges that do a lot of bad things, and this is one of them. So we fixed it. We raised the standards. We're requiring now the judge to sit with that minor and talk to that minor. Raise the, I don't want to get into all the legalese because it's going to gloss right over most of us, but raise the standard of when they can actually sign that abortion form. Talk to the minor. Were you coached? Did the lawyer tell you what to say? Why are you seeking this? Planned Parenthood says, well, we need to protect these young girls in case you know, if they're raped, unfortunately, or there's incest in the family. And we come back and say, wait a minute. If a young girl is raped by a family member, we need to tell the prosecutor. We need to arrest that jerk, or you know, that person. He needs to go to jail. He needs to be held accountable because he's going to keep doing it if we don't. So every time Planned Parenthood comes up with an argument, it's shallow and hollow, and we blow through it. But that's going to pass out of the House this week, and it's going to go over to Frank and Larry, and they're going to fast track it for us too to get that on the books. We have a law that was just voted out of the committee last week. Opt Ohio out of Obamacare as it relates to taxpayer funding of abortion. 78% of Ohioans oppose taxpayer funding of abortion. And that's Democrats, Republicans, Independents, liberal conservatives. I mean, this is an Ohio thing. When Obamacare was passed, hopefully we can repeal it, hopefully we can get out of it. It's coming though. We don't have anything on the books to stop it. There was a clause in there that said each state can opt out of abortion coverage and taxpayer funding of abortion through Obamacare, but you have to pass a law to do it. We tried to do it last year, but we had a pro-abortion speaker of the Ohio House of Representatives, and we passed it out of the Senate, and then he just killed it in the House. Now we've got Bill Batchelder, who, oh my, Jesus Christ, I sat with him for an hour last week, took an hour out of his time, and we went over our agenda, and I know he didn't have the time, but you know, he said, Mike, I don't want to just pass pro-life laws, I want to pass Ohio right to life pro-life laws, because I know you guys know what you're doing and what you're talking about. So, historic times in Ohio. That's getting voted out of the House, and we'll get to the Senate. We're hoping by the end of April we'll have that on the governor's desk for his signature. So, while the ultimate goal in 2014 is not to have Obamacare, if for God, for some unforsaken reason that we do have it, at least your tax dollars are not going to pay for abortion. Number two. Number three, the most important bill we're doing just right now, because we ain't seen nothing yet, what's coming from us, is a ban on late-term abortions. As I told you early on, abortions are legal through all 9 months of pregnancy in Ohio. Go down to Dayton, you can have an abortion. Children's Hospital is full in their NICU of babies born at 22, 24, 28 weeks. These babies can live outside the womb. And we don't have a law in the books to stop that. Many states do, and we don't. We're going to pass that law. It's the most important bill. It's going to save up to 1,000 babies' lives a year. How do I know that? The Department of Health statistics show every year that after 20 weeks, because that's our ban at 20 weeks, it's about 1,000 babies a year in Ohio that are being born after 20 weeks. They can live on their own outside the womb. We're going to pass it, and we're putting a ton of resources into it right now. I'm sitting with Frank all the time. He's with us. He's going to be a leader for us on that, and we're going to save those babies immediately. Because once it's signed into law, it's effective immediately. And here's a key. Planned Parenthood did not even come out and testify in opposition to it. They had the chance. You know, everyone gets a chance to petition the government, proponent testimony, opponent testimony. They didn't even show up last week because they know we're right. They know we win. Who's going to stand up and say we support killing babies that can live outside the womb? Who supports killing any babies for that matter? But on this issue, for those, they didn't even show up. First time in the history of our battle with Planned Parenthood, they did not show up to testify in opposition. Now they came and they had their dog and pony as it related to our opt-out of Obamacare for our judicial bypass. But when it came to our late-term ban, they said nothing, because we're right. We're right on all of our issues, but we're especially right on that one. We're going to save those lives. Some people say, well, Mike, why don't we do a full ban at conception? You know, why 20 weeks? Actually, I want to work myself out of a job. I've been practicing law for 12 years. I want to go back to practicing law. I don't want a need to have Ohio right to life. I want the abortion number to be 0 every year. When the Department of Health does the report, I want it to be one page that says, nothing to report this year. And that's where I want to be, and I want to work myself out of a job. But there's only so much we can do. We have to, in a baseball analogy, if we're at first base right now, we got to get to second before we can go to third, before we can go home. Because if you try to go from first across the pitcher's mound to third, what happens? You get thrown out. It's the world we live in. Elections have consequences. If we would have elected John McCain in 2008, and he had some issues that I'm sure that we didn't agree with, but one thing I can assure you is if we would have elected John McCain in 2008, we would not have Sonia Sotomayor on the United States Supreme Court. We would not have Elaine Keegan on the United States Supreme Court. Both of them radical liberals and pro-aborts. I went around the state talking to groups who were a little lukewarm on John McCain, and frankly I was too. But I said the prize isn't the White House, because that's just someone for 4 years, maybe 8 years. The prize is the United States Supreme Court, because these people sit there for 40, 50 years, okay? You know, Sotomayor's in her late 40s. She'll be there until she's 85, 90. I mean, these guys just don't come on for a couple of years and say, okay, I'm done. They're on until they die, you know, or their health, you know, they can't think anymore. And so these, which I think a lot of them are a little younger, I'm thinking. But you know, at the United States Supreme Court right now, we lose 5-4. If we had a case to take them to ban all abortions, we lose. We lose. Now, if John McCain would have got elected, he told me in a hotel room in the city of Cincinnati during the campaign, Mike, I need your help, and if you help me get elected, you'll be very proud of the 2 justices, whatever, we didn't know at the time how many, whatever justices I get to appoint, and I will have the bully pulpit, and I'll push them through. We don't have that. If we would have, I would say right now, let's get something in front of the United States Supreme Court, because we think we're winning 6-3, 7-2, 9 members of the court. We're not there yet. So what we need to do is continue to pass meaningful laws, elect the right people, and then help women while we do that. And here's the thing, guys, it's working. Okay, if I was here to say, geez, the abortion number is through the roof right now, when, you know, we're at the highest level in Ohio's history, I think you could each come back to me and say, Gonidakis, it ain't working, your strategy's broken. It's not mine, it's all of our strategies. But I can honestly tell you that we are at the lowest level of abortions in Ohio's history. We're down 40% since the 1990s, and for the past 8 years, we've dropped 4% every year for the past 8 years in the state of Ohio. What we're all doing is yeah,
It's fashionable.
it's working, guys. The work that, and it's not just us on Ohio Life to Life, it's Jim and Lisa, it's you, it's the church, it's our pregnancy centers, it's a group that I wanted to go see today, but I have to get back home, the Oaks Family Care Center that helps women. This stuff works, guys. It's working. Now, is it all going to end before the end of my speech? No, but God has a perfect plan, you know, and we're going to follow it. And I want it to end in the worst way, but we need to continue down this path. Now, I told you the good news that we're still down. We're at the lowest level in our state's history, but here's the bad news. We had 28,000 abortions in Ohio last year. It's about 525 babies a week. A large graduating class in some of our big suburbs. 525 babies a week are being aborted under the cliche of choice. People come out and say, oh, what about rape, incest, life of the mother? Less than 1%. Less than 1% of all abortions are due to rape, incest, and life of the mother. So it's used as a red herring to justify women aborting their babies at 35 weeks. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. It's ethically wrong. It's based on our faith. It's wrong. And we're going to continue to fight day in and day out. One thing I was telling a gentleman I met here a little bit ago, Steve, who just has an amazing story. You guys got to hear it. He got me all emotional before our speech. I've got to speak to this group now, and I should be sitting down and he should be talking right now. You know, what a lot of people don't want to talk about in Ohio and throughout the country is the pressure parents put on their children to have an abortion. I talked to a young lady who was post-abortive recently, and she said, I regret my abortion every day, and I take the responsibilities for getting pregnant. And she's 24 years old. And she goes, but one thing I'll never be able to forgive my parents for is the pressure they put on me to have the abortion because they were afraid what their friends at church would say. Yeah. With her being pregnant. They were very prominent people in the community. He owned a company. They were afraid what their friends at church would say. So she had an abortion. We need to remember, guys, it's not just the young women, but it's also us. You know, I have a 4-year-old daughter. You know, we're not there yet where that opportunity would present itself, obviously, and we're going to continue to raise her in a Christian family. And you know, look, we're all human. We all make mistakes, okay? There's no litmus test for if you don't do this or do this, you're going to heaven. And we're all, you know, that's why Jesus came back for us. You know, we're all mistake prone and we all sin. But, you know, putting our faith in the Lord, you know, Steve's story is so inspiring. I can't repeat it because I wouldn't do justice. You know, we need to help young women. 40% of all abortions in Ohio are in the black community. And yet young black single women make up 5% of our state. But 40% of that 28,000 are by single black women. And it's genocide. They're killing themselves. And as Christians, you know, we're all people. You know, God doesn't see us as great people or little people. We're all people. We need to find out how we tackle that issue in the black community. How do we tackle the issue with the parents who say, geez, not now, you've got your future, you've got college, you know, how can you have a baby now? Well, you know what? That baby deserves just as much right to live. You know? And whatever the circumstances were for her to get pregnant, you know, here's the fact of the matter. We have a baby growing inside. These things are hard to talk about. I can't sit here and tell you, well, if we cut the budget here, we're going to save this much money, and you know that. We're talking about life, you know, and I know sometimes it's uncomfortable and people don't want to talk about it, and they push it aside and you know put the blinders on, and you know I'm just going to drive home, and I've done it. Sometimes I do it. I'm going to avoid going home on this bad part of town so I don't have to see what's going on over there. I'm going to take the nice highway and get to my little suburban house. I'm the first one to stand there and say guilty. But when we humble ourselves and we do things to help people, I tell you folks, we never fail. We never fail when we do that, when we have an open heart. If pounding the table worked in the pro-life movement, we would have won decades ago. Okay, and that's not to take away anything negative from the men and women who've been doing it. I've only been doing it 3 years. I'm 37 years old. There's men and women in this room that have probably been in the pro-life movement for decades. God bless you. Thank you. I'm here today doing this now. At some time, I'll retire, or God will put me somewhere else. Maybe I'll be digging a ditch or something, and I'll hand the flag off to somebody else. So the movement's not about me. It's not about one individual purpose. It's about all of us, you know, putting our faith in God. And when we continue to do that, we will ultimately win. You know, I always say, you know, let God worry about the results and success. He wants us to be faithful. As long as we remain faithful and stay united together, I know things will go well. Okay. Can I talk a little bit about 2012 elections, or are you guys done? Okay, good. I wouldn't take offense if you said, yeah, Gonidakis, time to go. And I don't want to rehash my talking points, but it really comes down to energy, guys. They went home in 2010. We didn't. We stayed. Our men and women got elected. They thought in 2008, we did our thing, and we got Obama in office, and we got all these people that don't support the things we don't, in the office, so they were done. What we can't do is fall in that same trap. We made a statement in 2010, we threw out Nancy Pelosi. We made a statement, we got John Kasich and Rob Portman elected. Yes, we did. God bless each and every one of you for doing that. But in 2012, guess who's going to be re-energized? All those people that voted for Obama. We need to go back out and make a statement. We need to get Obama reelected and make a statement and say, curse you, John Boehner, curse you this person, curse you that person. We're back. And if we say, well, we did our thing in 2010, the results are going to be what we don't want. What we're going to see, and this is just my opinion, you're going to see large swings now every 2 years in these elections because it's the energy, enthusiasm you get. And you saw that here in 2026, 2008, huge swings to the other side. In 2010, huge swings back to the things that we believe in. Like Jim, I'm trying to remain as nonpartisan as I can, but you probably know where my philosophies are. And if I didn't believe in everything, I wouldn't be here today. And so, but I struggle because I just want to say, darn it, but I have to remain nonpartisan, or the IRS will yank our tax status, which we can't let happen. And they've not been friendly lately, by the way. It's not a coincidence that under the Obama administration, a lot of great nonprofits are getting looked at 2 and 3 times, while the others aren't. Different subject, we can talk about that later. But we have that U.S. Senate seat to get rid of Sherrod Brown. I believe there's 3 candidates. Love each and every one of them. I'm not sure how it's going to vet. They don't bring me into the smoke-filled rooms in the inner circle to make that decision. But in no particular order, I think Congressman Jim Jordan, Congressman Pat Tiberi, Jim Jordan, Western Ohio, Congressman Pat Tiberi in the Columbus area, or our State Treasurer Josh Mandel. One of those 3, in my humble opinion, again, it could be someone else, it could be Jim Woods. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. But from all the coffee house chatter, from the inside scoop, I'm having lunch with Josh next week, so I'll try to find out more. But I think it's going to be one of those 3. And again, I'm now speaking as an individual, not as Ohio Right to Life's executive director, so don't pin this on Ohio Right to Life, pin this on me. I don't think it's going to be Jim Jordan, although we would love it to be Jim Jordan because we have no better friend than Jim Jordan. He's an amazing congressman and he's on so many leadership posts, but he's in a district in Western Ohio that it would have to be Armageddon for him to lose his congressional seat. And he could be in Congress for the next 40 years for us, helping us. And while I want him to be a United States Senator, with the Republicans back in control now, Jim Jordan's carrying the flag for all the issues you guys care about. He's received those leadership votes. He's writing policy. He's dictating who gets committee assignments. So, is he going to want to give that up for a run for Senate? I don't know. Pat Tiberi, amazing man. He's my congressman. I live in his district. When we were having problems adopting our daughter in Guatemala with the U.S. Embassy, he picked up the phone, made the call to the embassy. 3 days later, we were on a plane flying to Guatemala to adopt our 7-month-old daughter. I do anything for Pat Tiberi, but I think his strength is in Congress. So who does that leave us with? Josh Mandel, former Marine, devout conservative, pro-life, believes in the things you believe in, 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. That's just my handicapping of it. There could be, maybe it's Mary Taylor, I don't know. Love Mary Taylor. Don't we all love Mary Taylor? She's from this area. Great woman, but I think it's going to be one of those 3, and I'm leaning to Mandel. He's 33 years old, he's younger than me. Again, it shows how old I'm getting, but and if it is Josh, guys, we need to pour everything behind him. And it doesn't necessarily mean just money. He'll go raise the money from the rich people. Let me go do that. But that money doesn't get you elected alone. Ask all these billionaire politicians that put their own fortune in and have lost. It's you. It's each one of you. That's how we get elected in this great country. We talk about corporate dollars, and TV buys, this and that. It comes down to you at the ballot box. It's this simple. It's really this simple. So. 2012, and if Josh says next week, hey, I'm starting a family with my wife, and I decide not to, I'll call Jim and I'll say, forget everything I just said. It's not Josh, but we'd be blessed with any of these 3, but something inside me says it's going to be Mandel. But I reserve the right to be wrong. Something else people aren't talking about is redistricting. What is that? But we have 18 congressional seats in Ohio. We used to have 22. We had 25, 26 at one point. But Ohio's shrinking. Another reason why we need to fix our government. We're losing our population. Kids are graduating from college. Elderly people are retiring to Florida, where you can keep 99 cents on the dollar instead of 60 cents or 40 cents here in Ohio. We're shrinking. Ohio, the great state of Ohio, is shrinking. So when you shrink in population size from the census, you lose your congressional seats. So we have 18 now. We're going to lose 2. It's not kind of we think we're going to lose 2. We're losing 2. It's already official. Texas is getting our 2 seats. They're going to go from, I think, 20 to 24. So Texas is now going to have a larger voice, which is good. Good conservative men and women in Texas. But for us here in Ohio, not so good. So who are we going to lose? The good news is conservatives control the pen. You know, the pen where you redraw the districts, who gets where. My humble opinion, I'm not on the redistricting committee, just from talking to people, I think that lunatic, Dennis Kucinich, is going to go. With all due respect in a Christian-like manner, Dennis Kucinich. Well, Betty Sutton's going to be safe. They'll tweak her district, mind you, but I don't speak from a degree of authority, just on my opinion. I think they'll tweak her district. The lines will move, so you may fall out of her district or fall in. But what I believe is going to happen is they're going to take Dennis Kucinich and then Marcia Fudge, African American congresswoman up in the Cleveland area, somewhere up there, and they're going to combine those districts. And because we have a federal law of majority-minority rights, so you can't, this was many decades ago, you couldn't draw African Americans out or spread them out so far that they didn't have a voice. So you need to make sure in Congress that African Americans have a voice. It's the federal law, it is what it is. So they're not going to wipe out her district, so they're going to combine Kucinich and hers, and her constituency will wipe them out. So it's going to stay in a liberal D's hand, but we won't have Dennis Kucinich anymore. I can almost guarantee you that.
Yay.
Here's the tricky thing. We got one more. That's just one. We have one more seat we got to eliminate. I have advocated take out another pro-abort liberal. And some people say, well, I don't know if we could do this. I said, well, absolutely, yes, you can. You won the elections. We elected you. Elections have consequences. Well, I don't know. Talking to people that are making these decisions, maybe we need to do one Republican and one Democrat. I said, the heck with that. Well, we got to be fair. Fair is, representing the people. So, again, they're not listening to Mike Gonidakis. I'm giving my opinion. They're going to do what they think is best. But I worry that what they're going to do is they're going to take Bob Gibbs, who Larry just took his seat. Bob Gibbs is our congressman now, great pro-life guy, and Bill Johnson, who beat Democrat who claimed to be pro-life, Charlie Wilson, out in eastern Ohio, who actually voted for Obamacare, taxpayer funding of abortion. He was on our target list, and we spent a lot of money. If you guys don't know Bill Johnson, he would blend right into this room. I mean, he's one of us. He's a great man. But what I think they're going to do, and I'm not as certain with this one as I am with Kucinich, I'm very certain on that, is they might blend Gibbs and Johnson's seat in eastern Ohio together and make a huge district, and then make them do a primary together, which is the last thing we need. Two like-minded, conservative, fiscal, social conservative men having to square off under the guise of fairness. So anything could happen, anything could change. I think you can go to bed knowing that at some point in the future, whenever that future may happen, Dennis Kucinich will not be a congressman in the state of Ohio. Unfortunately, we will not be replacing him, though, with a like-minded person of ours. But, you take what you can get, right? Take what you can get. And I don't know if that propels him to run for something else, maybe dog catcher. Feel sorry for those dogs, but that's the way of the world. There's going to be a ballot issue, though, in 2011, guys. And I will tell you this with a 100% degree of authority. The liberals, Peter Lewis, I think that's his name, who owns Progressive Insurance Company, spends millions and millions of dollars for liberal causes, just like George Soros. But Lewis lives up in the Cleveland area, and he's got Progressive Insurance Company. He put $8 million into Kasich's race in a private account at the end of the election in 2010. He wasted all this money, but Kasich, strike that, he put it in Strickland's race. Sorry. I get excited. And Kasich was doing real well up to the past 45 days before the election because Peter Lewis's $8 million, and that's why the race was so close, 49-47. So, he's got a liberal agenda just like George Soros, and what they're going to put on the ballot in 2011 is they're going to spend about $5 million to take away the power of the people to decide how we redistrict and where we do the lines. And let the judges get involved, let the courts get involved. And you're going to see some unique people standing up, though, okay? Because, look, politicians that are in office and then they're either term limited or voted out, they need to find a job and they need to work, okay? We appreciate that. Some of them, and I'm not going to say any names, that we have held near and dear to our hearts and have always supported, you may see, you may not, but you may see them coming out and supporting this. And you're going, what are you doing? But then when you think back, well, they're probably getting paid to do this. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying you might see some unique people out there saying, hey, get behind this ballot initiative, let's make it fair. There's nothing fair about that, okay, guys? You decide who we elect, who controls the pen. Not some board that is appointed by some insiders that we don't even know. The reason why we do not support we support electing judges in Ohio. Supreme Court's appointed, but so many lawyers come out and say, oh, it's, you know, we don't want to politicize the court. Let us put a panel together. We'll pick the members, and we'll tell you who the best judge is. We say heck no, and we use the other word, not heck, because it's Ohioans' decision. We, 8 of our 9 members on the Ohio Supreme Court are pro-life, are conservative. I know them all. One's out there. But it's because you voted for it. And if we put it to a panel and let them pick, they're going to say, well, you know, forget about the life issue, forget about the conservative issue. This guy's a great lawyer. You know, he tried 6 malpractice cases, and he's a great trial lawyer. No, you know, does anyone in the room want to lose their right to vote? This redistricting bill, I'm not getting paid by the opposition to do this, so I'm here, you know, just telling you, this redistricting bill takes away, and they're going to be real fancy how they say it, you know. Let's make it fair, let's make it honest. All it does is take away your right to elect the statewide office holders that you just did, because they're the ones that draw. Every 10 years, you know, that's the most important election in Ohio is the, you know, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, because whoever controls at the beginning of a decade controls the pen, district. And the liberals want to take that away. It will be on the ballot, and they're going to spend a lot of money because the Democrats thought, all right, we want it, excuse me, the liberals said in 2006, we want